Joe, good morning, sir.
Good morning and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Thank you for saying that. Let's talk about the Bob Mueller probe in retrospect. So it's been running for nearly 2 years now. And, we've got all sorts of predictions about when it's supposed to wrap up. You had Rudy Giuliani saying yesterday on Fox that it's time for Mueller to put up or shut up. What is your, current analysis of the Mueller investigation and where it's headed?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that the Mueller investigation, insofar as its original charter, which was to find Russian collusion, if there was any, whatever Russian collusion is, with the Trump campaign as a counterintelligence operation, is a complete failure. They have found no such thing. There is no evidence against the President of the United States by my standards. According to them, the president is not even a subject anymore of this investigation. He's a might-be witness. This has been one of the biggest wastes of public money. It is a disgraceful effort of which Mr. Mueller is a part and Mr. Rosenstein is the leader to discredit a sitting president after a legitimate election, well thought out by the Democrats as a scheme to undercut the sitting president of the United States in order to make up for Hillary's abysmal performance as a presidential candidate. So Mueller gets an F, and the Democrats get an F. They get an A+ for a scheme to overthrow the government of the United States and an F on good government.
What motivation does Robert Mueller even have to wrap up this probe? He has seemingly unlimited resources, unlimited scope. What could possibly be the end of this at this point?
Well, given the fact that he apparently knows no limits and has no limits and is bringing cases in all sorts of areas that have nothing to do with the election, like Manafort, nothing in the Manafort case has anything to do with the election. Michael Flynn's case has nothing to do with the election. That's post-election. That's when Michael Flynn was the national security advisor to the incoming president, and he didn't even lie about anything, and he didn't commit a crime. I don't know what the limitations are on Bob Mueller. There appear to be none. And given the complete incompetence of Republican oversight in the House and the Senate, and the capitulation to hold anybody accountable in the previous administration by Richard Burr and Trey Gowdy and Bob Goodlatte, their weak-kneed oversight with no subpoenas until the last minute when it didn't mean anything, I have no idea who in the world would even think about trying to stop Bob Mueller. And in fact, he's going to keep going until the money runs out, which it never will.
Let me ask you if tactically, whether or not you agree with the scope, of course, which you don't, but tactically, has he made any mistakes here? Because I've seen a couple of stories in the last week that suggest that legally he's made a few. Among them are this idea that he went after this, he dropped indictments on this Russian corporation that decided to actually take him up in court, despite the fact he didn't expect that to happen.
Yes, Concord Management.
And it left him scrambling, and the Mueller team trying to delay as much as they can actually pursuing this company. And the other side of it is this report that Chief Justice John Roberts may have actually gotten involved in intervening in the Mueller probe in a way that wasn't helpful to Bob Mueller in the last week. What's going on in these stories?
Well, it's clear that the Russian corporation indictments, the bot companies, and all of that, the one against Concord Management, which is the one you're talking about, where they decided to fight in court, those were cases that were designed to make it look like he was doing something about the Russia part of his investigation. Those indictments were never expected to bear fruit in the sense that anybody would show up in court or ever be arrested, including the 13 or 14 Russian government officials that he indicted, who will never see the inside of a U.S. courtroom. Those were designed to tell a story to make people think he was being effective. That, of course, is nonsense. The Chief Justice's action is quizzical at this point. I don't know what it means. What he did was, for our listeners, the Chief Justice issued a stay of a subpoena in a case in the D.C. Circuit. A district court judge, the chief judge of the district in D.C., and a 3-judge panel in the D.C. Circuit all ruled that a foreign corporation owned by a foreign government had to comply with the grand jury subpoena from Mueller. The Chief Justice issued a stay of all of those orders and said, no, you don't have to comply until we hear from the government in its briefs, which are due today, New Year's Eve, by 5 p.m. Now, he may dissolve his stay, or he may say the court wants to hear argument. Now, he issued his stay as what's called the circuit justice for this circuit. The District of Columbia is like one of the circuits in the country, and each of those circuits has a justice who presides over it. The Chief Justice presides over this circuit, and so a single justice can issue an order. We don't know yet the significance of this, but it was a grand jury subpoena by Mueller, and it has been stopped temporarily by the Chief Justice. We should know more in the next 24 to 48 hours.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. I want to ask you about another potential judge as well. His name, Brian Boischer, and he has been nominated to serve as a federal judge for the U.S. District Court for the District of Nebraska. He's been being questioned by Democratic Senators Kamala Harris and Mazie Hirono, who've been going after him for his affiliation with the Knights of Columbus. You know, the guys who collect the money at church and, like, occasionally hold barbecues? They want to know why he would be a part of an all-male-only organization in the Catholic Church, Joe. What is this about?
Well, they also say that it is an evil organization because it is pro-life. Their biggest complaint is that it's pro-life, and not only that it's a male organization. I guess they haven't heard of the Women's March. I think that's a one type only march. But here's the thing. These are anti-Catholic people. Make no mistake about it. Kamala Harris, Mazie Hirono, Dick Durbin, they're anti-Catholic. It's very, very simple. They don't like Catholics because Catholics, for the most part, not all, are pro-life. This is the Bible for Democrats. You have to be an abortionist. You have to be in favor of abortion. And if you're not, they'll find some other reason to be critical of you, like you're an all-male organization like the Knights of Columbus, one of the great organizations in America for charity,
yes,
for giving food to people. I mean, the notion that you would criticize someone for being part of the Knights of Columbus is so stupid as to make both Hirono, who is an idiot, and Kamala Harris, who is a conniving idiot, look even dumber than they are.
Well, and we saw some of this.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
And we saw some of this during the proceedings for Amy Coney Barrett.
Yes.
To be confirmed, where Dianne Feinstein infamously said, "The dogma lives loudly within you."
Yeah, and Durbin did the same thing. This is a thing about Democrats today. They don't like Catholics. It's real simple. And the notion that somehow that is not the case, people are in denial about this. Democrats don't like Catholics anymore. Catholics used to be a big part of the Democratic base.
Yes.
They're not anymore.
Well, you can be Catholic.
Catholics.
You can be Catholic as long as you don't believe in the tenets of your faith.
Yeah, that's right.
Nancy Pelosi.
You can be a fake Catholic and they love you.
Yeah.
But if you really believe in the Catholic dogma, you're a bum as far as Kamala Harris is concerned.
That's exactly right. All right, thank you, Joe DiGenova. Always great talking to you. Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year.